Hello and welcome to your Friday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name is Andrew and I'm joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Calvin and Andrew. And geez, lads, I don't know, what do you want to talk about tonight? Before we do that, first of all, I want to thank the very generous Colin Kerr, who donated 5 Four Lads Had a Dream memberships before we'd even gone live. So, I mean, love to see the dedication. Thank you so much for that. If you want to join those lucky people who got those gifted memberships, you can sign up using the QR code right there, get access to ad-free shows, all that good stuff. But I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm here to talk about the Rangers. So, Calvin, I'll come to you first for the reaction to the news that, I don't know, I think this was like yesterday, started coming out that Danny Rohl had been linked to a potential move to RB Salzburg. Apparently, this has been initiated by Jurgen Klopp, who is the head of global football for Red Bull. There is no release clause in Rohl's contract, so Rangers could have rejected the move, but have not done so. I've got the official update from the club via Stevie, which is that Rohl is waiting to see if Salzburg and Rangers can thrash out an agreement. If they can, then he will go. There's been no push from Rohl to leave, but he will go if the clubs agree. So, Calvin, your initial reaction to the news as it broke, and what the latest is.
I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not, because there was all the links kind of as the season finished about Wolfsburg and things like that, and the way we counting back to them. I'm surprised that I'm trying to how I'd say this. The club must have knew something was cooking, and that's why they didn't let him go, because they knew there could be a lot of money on the stakes, and it might have been one, they wanted a bit of continuity, but also at the same time they're going, if there is interest, we're not paying this guy off for money to potentially come out the door. And because it's a World Cup year, things could happen quite quick before it, because there's no interest for a lot of other things like pre-season starting immediately, apart from a few weeks, but a few players won't be back. So am I happy? Yes, because I was a massive kind of in the camp of, I didn't think he had that leadership quality that I felt we need as a Rangers manager, somebody that can just be that really demanding figure behind the scenes in front of the players. I felt it was just too calm. It's quite a strange thing. I've got a calm manager, which sometimes it'll work, but at a club like Rangers, you need to be the front and the kind of the fire behind the team a lot of the time. And it's time to make the move. If he's ready to go, I hope they're already in discussions with the potential candidates that I'm sure we'll talk about. But pleased, yes. Surprised, a little bit considering how long it's taken, but at the same time, not.
Yeah. I think Stephen made the point on Twitter last night, Andrew, that the key thing is that if he does go, that this doesn't drag on for another month. You know, pre-season starts in 9 days. We need to have someone in the door then, because although not all of our players will be back, obviously some of them are going to be busy with international duties right now. It's still the case that we want to have as good a pre-season as possible, because we saw in some of the matches last season how a poor pre-season affected us, that players looked gassed, they looked, out of stamina. The better that we can be prepared for next season, the better. So it's, I think, in everyone's interest that this does not drag on for a long period of time. If he's going, go, and then for the club's sake, get someone in as a replacement. We will come on to talk about the potential replacements later on, but your initial thoughts, I guess, on Danny Rohl's potential leaving us.
I was going to say Dillock happy. Well, don't ask me stupid questions, but to be fair, I don't even think I can back that in a minute. There's just so much going on with our club. It's another one of these bizarre stories that is coming out. We don't do things as a normal club. We always need to, have some sort of comedy script writer have a go over it before we actually release it. From a Rangers standpoint, I think there was a lot of questions being asked of Danny Rohl. The support, we know what we're like. We're difficult to get back on side once you lose us, and there was a good portion of Rangers support that had given up hope on Danny Rohl being a success. I think that's fair to say. I mean, we've said a million times in the show that I seem to be the last holdout for a number of things, players, managers, and even I was on the fence. I was seeing both sides of it. It could be the perfect storm for Rangers in the fact that there's interest from closer to home for him. Obviously, the Red Bull system in its arms across Europe and beyond has ties to his kind of upbringing in football, I suppose you can call it. And his stock is still relatively high over in Germany and Austria. So I think it makes sense for him that he can leave from his point of view with his head held high to an extent that he gave his best. We came up short as a club. He can then say, this happened and that happened and this is why it didn't work, and he'll get away with it, essentially. And for us, it gives the new person, the next opportunity, and it gives the fans that weren't for him to stay what they wanted. So by no means is a good thing, because again, it's just another shambolic post-season, shenanigans from Rangers. But yeah, I suppose, as you said, it should all pan out as to where we're actually going to be relatively soon, as our pre-season isn't too far away.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, I wasn't convinced that Danny Rohl was the answer for next season. Was fully prepared to back him because he's the Rangers manager. I want him to be successful because it means Rangers are being successful. So I'm never going to root against the manager, but I didn't have faith that he was the one to take us forward. That being said, I mean, the board had come out, backed him publicly, Calvin. We'd made a big show over showing support to the manager. Was that just a case of being on side with the manager, or was that more a dreaded vote of confidence,
I think it could go both ways. I think he was playing it smart because let's face it, if Red Bull's involved, you know about the interest a good way in advance, that things could be happening. And I think with the Rohl situation where his family are still in Germany, if an opportunity comes, there is a chance he will go. And I think that's how Kavanagh played it. He looked at the situation and says, I'm happy with what I've got. He must have liked the situation that was happening, seen some improvements over certain parts of last season, but he always knew that chance of somebody coming in was there. And if he did, we knew we could bring up a sizable amount of money for the compensation. So I think he's played it in a good way where he knows he's got a bit of time. There is interest, and let's not kind of throw away money out of our budget that we need to improve the playing squad this season. And can we pick up a point that Scott had said about Rangers having a head coach right now? We don't have a director of football at the minute. So right now, it is a manager that's come into place. We have a consultant who's there to assist, but he's not a kind of full-time employee of the club. He's there, somebody on an advisory role. We don't have a director of football, so we do need a manager that can lead this club and lead this team.
Yeah, I think it is key. I think whoever the next person that comes in should be much more of a figurehead. I think Danny Rohl had some strengths. Obviously, good pedigree as a coach. This is obviously his first team coach managerial gig. But I think I think one of the criticisms that was leveled at him was that he lacked that kind of presence almost that, it is almost a prerequisite of any Rangers manager. You want someone who can stamp their authority on a dressing room, who can show that leadership, because hell, especially last season, we were severely lacking in leadership pretty much everywhere. So it's going to be interesting, Andrew. Rangers Review are reporting there's a 4-man shortlist. Derek McInnes is one of the names who's on that list. We don't have confirmations of the other 3 names on the list. We can probably make some educated guesses that Gerrard, Muscat, because they were people who were in the frame last time round. Who the 4th person is, no idea. So it's probably going to be that one who's going to be the manager next. Who can say? It's Rangers. We always do things the interesting way around. But who are you looking at, Andrew? If this does indeed turn out to be true, and we are looking for a new manager in the next couple of days.
I mean, it's difficult with it. I'm happy that you prefaced it by saying if it pans out, because if there's no deal to be made, then Rohl stays. And this makes us look like arseholes that would just basically go, on your way, on you go. But I mean,
don't do that. I'll do that to any manager. All right, I don't care.
I've been doing it for weeks, so I may as well just run with it now.
We're kind of like the weatherman for today. The weather might be like this next week, might not end up being like that, but we're going to give you the gist of it. I thought it was interesting when Calvin was saying about he maybe was too calm. So in a way, the first name that came to my mind during the kind of when the post-split calamity happened was Gattuso. You just need somebody that's going to kick the what's out of them in the dressing room.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
That is Rangers right now.
I tell you what, his agent is on something. He's on to top dollar. I mean, he's continued to somewhat fail upwards. I mean, he's had AC, he had Napoli, we had Fiorentina, and ended up at the Italy job. So, I mean, he's obviously doing enough in interviews to either threaten the people in charge to give him the position, or he just speaks really well. I'll let you decide which one that is. Um, and I suppose in that way, being somebody that's a bit fiery, it takes the attention, especially from the media. That is your figurehead, as we were discussing. So a wee bit closer to home, maybe potentially just as equally difficult to understand at times. Steven Gerrard, I suppose, is going to be the one that's linked with us from now until the end of time, as he's been linked this time, last time, the time after that. I think as we've said in the last kind of days, weeks, and group chats, when the Gerrard links have happened, it's always going to be, well, who's the Michael Beale replacement? Because I don't think there is any feasible way in which Michael Beale can come back to Rangers without pitchforks, torches. Wow, good stuff.
Colin, calm down. Thank you, but chill out, man. Thank you so much.
You must be
Truly
very
appreciate
happy
your
that
support, always.
He's happy.
This,
He's obviously wanted a managerial change. The time has potentially come. So, go on. You do you know.
We're here for happy Bob.
Doubling down.
Don't back down, double down. Don't tell a man what to do.
Look, if you come in next, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to, ask you to maybe just chill out, okay? We've got to spread this out over the months, all right? We've still got to eat. So, thank you again. Sorry, Andrew. You carry on.
No, that the main thing with Gerrard for me is it's going to be difficult to get up for it again, because after that last merry-go-round in which Danny Rohl was the eventual manager, it was I managed to get my head round the Gerrard return. The way he left the last time was okay. I understood it 100%. It's fine. And then everything that came with him pulling himself out of that race for the position only not too long ago now, was another kind of, stab in the back. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be one where whenever Rangers do make the announcement, now obviously you get behind them as that's our job as supporters. I've got a feeling if it is Gerrard, as soon as he starts talking about, he had a feeling and, it's always been there and he always had a point to prove, that I'll start to get back on side. But it would be strange if it's not the guys that we've said, McInnes, Gerrard, Muscat. If it's, I really don't think we can go further afield at this point in time. I think that would be too risky, in my opinion.
I think that is the concern there, Calvin. We've had a lot of, I guess, experiments or unproven coaches. Clement was a relatively unknown quantity. Good Lord, that's easy for me to say. Danny Rohl, equally, first managerial job or head coach job, if you like. So it's a difficult one to judge on because you never know. Gerrard is somewhat of a known quantity because he's been here before. You're going to point to the lack of success that he had in his time as manager, but he won the league. It's more than most of the managers that we've had recently can say they've done. And you can also look at where he came from as well. Not to go back to that old Danny Rohl line, but the team was not exactly a great state when Steven Gerrard took over. So it's an interesting one. I think if we're looking at known and unknown quantities, Calvin, the name that is going to hold a lot more cachet is Derek McInnes. You can point to the fact that they were not successful in the Cups or indeed in the league. Still finished above us, though, unfortunately. And from a personal standpoint, it would be amusing to not only take Hearts captain, but then also take their manager as well in the space of 1 month. Just kind of establishes the hierarchy that exists within Scottish football, which would be fun.
Somebody go and check on you and Cameron. Just
You'll know what's happening already. I think we talked about it before. If it is that type of appointment, it's another one of those. We weren't going to say it, but you've already started it. So I'm going to say it's know your place in the line and we're back on top if we do take him. It's an interesting one. I think McInnes on SPL level is a manager that just knows how to get things done. He's been in a position where he's worked with teams with lesser budgets and really made them better. And I think people forget, his Kelly team played some really good football as well. They weren't the best side, but they were built up and the players would run through a brick wall for them. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you listen to any player that's worked under McInnes, he's a decent tactician. his training's fairly good, but it's the way he makes his players feel. Like, his man management is top tier. And I think if you look down the line, they're best that's ever been. You look at like Walter Smith. People always said his training was mostly games and fun and just try to get the players on side, but he made players want to play for him. And maybe that's just a factor that we need with a McInnes, that somebody that just knows how to get the best out of players. And let's face it, he's smart in this league. He knows what works. He's been here for years. He's done it. I like McInnes. It might be you're having to try and pull him right under Hearts. I don't think he'll have a clause in his contract at this stage where he can just jump ship. But it would lay down the marker of the season again that we're here to take over you, and that's it. And I think if you look back at the Gerrard thing, like there was comments in there before, same with Muscat, when you looked at Thelwell and Stewart and the decisions that were happening, if you're a manager that's putting your hat on, coming on to improve your reputation and really make a thing of it, if they look like they're staying, there wasn't many people that were willing to kind of stick with it. And that's why Danny Rohl, who was third option, came back to the table, because everybody else was away. So they also made him a good deal to send his sit into there. So it's interesting. I like McInnes. I think he's one of the best managers you'll get for SPL level. And he's just smart. He's a smart man in this league. So I'd be behind it, but it'd be interesting to see what happens. You're muted, Andrew.
It's been ages since that's happened. It's been ages.
Yes.
Darn. Whoops. Yeah, I think the concern that you would have with with McInnes, this is not a Freudian slip. I do not know anything. Jesus, please do not make any assumptions about what I'm saying. The concern that you'd have with McInnes would be that the football is not exactly scintillating, but it's Scottish football. With all love in my heart that I have for this weirdo league that we have up here, it is not a league that is designed for perfect football. We've had managers who have tried perfect football, and they very frequently find that that does not work. As you say, Calvin, McInnes does know what works in the league. He went on a run that I don't think anyone was expecting in that league. You can point to how poor both us and them were, that allowed Hearts to have that domination. But, you know, all credit to them. They kept plugging away. They kept winning. It might have been boring 1-0 wins, but I have said more than enough times on this podcast, I will take boring 1-0 wins all the way from the start of the season to the end of it, because that wins you the league. So it's going to be an interesting one, Andrew. I think we have to always caveat it with, we know that Danny Rohl is still the manager as things stand. We do not know for sure that he will be going. This is still in the discussion stage. This could all still break down. He could very yet still remain as Rangers manager. I think from his perspective, this is maybe something that makes sense. As Calvin said at the start, you know, with his family being away in Germany, with his reputation, his stock still being high over in Europe, maybe that's something that makes sense, especially when the fan base is, let's call it, divided. I think in the main, folk will be behind him, but there will be a concern, especially from the way that the season ended last year. So it's a difficult one. I think from my perspective, I think it would be the right move. I'm just very concerned about how close this falls to the start of preseason.
Yeah, I think that's the proximity is a bad thing, and obviously when you're into pre-season, all of a sudden you get European qualifiers again, and we really need to make an important step and heading back in the direction that we usually tend to do in Europe, and be strong in whatever competition we're playing in. It was an awful showing last year. Absolutely no excuses from the club. I think the Russell Martin tenure, though qualifying up to the point of getting demolished, and then from the Europa League campaign onwards, it was a tough watch. We need to rectify that this year. If we're going to go globetrotting in qualifying rounds, then by all means we'll do it. We did it previously. Thinking back to some of the Gerrard qualifying rounds, you know, Gibraltar and so on. So it's something that we've done before. Obviously, just this is what happens when you have a third place season. So we'll have to get on with that. I would say that having somebody that's more experienced leaning on, as we said, this local knowledge would be useful for that. I mean, we can't really afford to have a prodigy manager come in. I think one of these, in the way that Danny Rohl was chalked up so brilliantly by ex, coaching staff members, great reviews from Hansi Flick or, Julian Nagelsmann or something like that. I don't think we can have another sort of Ancelotti. Remember when we were linked with him originally the first time round, where you were banking on, well, everyone says he's got what it takes to make that next step and be a top class, number one in charge. I don't think we can bank on potential. I think you need someone that goes, we've got a game in 14 days. This is what we're going to do from now to then. Go on with it. And I think having a steady leader in charge would certainly smooth that out the best they can.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the failings that we had last season, and believe me when I say we went over it in detail last week. But we know what was lacking. It was that leadership, and that was through the squad. But I think you can also point to the manager as well and say that there was the lack of leadership that came from there as well. There's only so much you can do with certain players, but you have to impose a mentality onto players one way or the other. And I think that's absolutely what we're looking for. The question is going to be about the other names on the list. So I think we suspect that Gerrard's on the list. We know that McInnes is on the list. Muscat, hey, Gio just left Liverpool as well. So, bring him back as well. Why not? We're talking about getting Gerrard back. Why not get Gio back? To go see the European final. Surely that qualifies you, right? Definitely nothing bad could happen with that. Yeah, Calvin, it's a tough
has a
one.
great World Cup with Curaçao. He needs to be on the short list.
I fancy them to get past the groups. I think they can do well. Play some great stuff. So.
I got them in the sweepstake. I need to say good thing.
Hey, yeah.
You can certainly kick a few players anyway. You watch them the other week. They're the aggressive side.
And that's what we're looking for, right, Calvin? We need some aggression in this league. Yes.
Just want monsters.
Batter them out a bit.
Bring some Juninho Bacuna. Can't say any further than that.
Well, there you go. And I thank the Celtic fan in the comments as well.
Thanks to the
band, but yeah, cheers for the you. Always helps us. Encourage you. I mean, you can still, you won't be able to comment, obviously, but you can like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. That's just dynamite for us. So thank you, Calvin. The difficulty is, as we sit right now, we don't know anything more official than what the club have given us. It comes down to a discussion between the two clubs, between Salzburg and Rangers, but. We're going to be in this situation where there's now going to be doubt over it. So if it's not the case, you'd expect to have this confirmed one way or another relatively soon. We've seen the WhatsApp rumors going around. There's rumors because Gerrard was in town a few weeks ago that he's obviously already agreed everything, and there'll be an announcement on Monday, and there's a full backroom staff. You can pick your rumor of choice at the moment, really. But for me, the important thing is we have someone in place sooner rather than later, whether that's Rohl or whether that's someone else, and we know what the plan is for the season upcoming.
Yeah, there was an interesting comment above, and it was talking about if Rohl is interested in this position, like if a player's not interested in being at a club and happy for a move, shouldn't it be the same for a manager? So he's obviously open to that idea. I know things can change really, really quickly, but what does that say to his team? His players must be looking at it saying, you're not confident in being with us, you don't want to be as you want to be our leader. And I think that's very hard to come back from. So I think if everything is true and that is the situation where he is open to the move, quite frankly, it's hard for him to come back as the Rangers head coach, manager, whatever we want to call him. The players will be looking at that and going, you left a bit of sour taste in a lot of players' mouths after the Tav situation at the end of the season, and now you're looking at your opportunity to move away. So the club need to make sure this happens quickly, and if it is going to happen, make sure it's done for Monday, because they need to have the next manager ready. And I think that's with Gerrard, if he's available. If I don't know how his TV contracts are this summer, that could be a massive thing, because we spoke about it before. If you're on like one of these 1 month contracts at World Cup, the dough is ridiculous. So very few people do walk away from them. We've seen it with Joey Barton. We've seen it with Postecoglou when he did his media stuff. We've seen it with one of the managers last year for going into one of the Premiership teams as well. So it's crazy money for them to turn around. But that's when they need to put their hat on the door and just say, I want this job and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So I think the move must happen and it needs to be done quickly. As somebody said in his comments about the pre-season set starting next week for some players, we need somebody in the door ready to go. I know you've got your sports science guys, your fitness coaches, etc., that are there to kind of oversee the start of that, but we need a manager that's there ready for the players and setting the tone. So if rumours do come all true and he does leave, make sure it's Monday and make sure the next person's in the door by the end of the week. That's all I can think of it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Calvin. I think that's got to be the move, because otherwise we cannot afford another saga. We cannot afford to go into this this new season with more disruption at the start of it. It was bad enough with
Guinness as well, with him being a contract. Hearts aren't going to let him go very easy. They'll be trying to derail a lot of stuff we do, but at the same time, they'll be in the same situation with, if he wants to go, we need our pre-season up and running, and I doubt he'll be putting in maximum effort, his opportunities to go elsewhere, and if that's the one he wanted.
Exactly. So it's going to be plenty of moving parts. I'm sure Stevie will be in touch for a breaking news podcast if anything does happen, Andrew. But we'll be online. We'll be here. You can stay with us, and any news, any updates that we get, this is going to be the place to go for them. We will get you updated as soon as we hear anything. Andrew, your final thoughts? I mean, Rohl's time's up. In theory, where are you at?
I mean, I think we've all said it, and it's crucial this timing for it. Synchronized swag there. Sorry, you've absolutely derailed me there. We even hearing back to the 55 season, hearing ex-players like Jermaine Defoe talking about that pre-season, they came in with a goal in mind. And you think of how intensive like the running was and how fit they had to be to play at the level they wanted to play. Pre-season isn't just oh, welcome back, you've had your summer break. You know, it is so important for an entire league campaign that you set the expectations for individuals, for fitness levels. You set targets for what you want to achieve, especially when you have games just around the corner in qualifying. You want to qualify for the tournament proper. Anything less than that would be a disgrace. You're going to have to start the league campaign off the right way, because you can't afford to be sitting behind the 8 ball from game week 1, because that just automatically turns any goodwill that whoever the next manager gets on its head. And we're already chasing, and everything that this whole tornado that happens with us every season recently is it's going great and then it goes bad, and then the manager gets sacked, he comes in, going great, going bad, the manager gets sacked. We can't afford to do that. For a clean slate, full pre-season, we're not too far ahead in the transfer activity. It's not like the new manager can come in and go, I didn't want you to sign him, I didn't need him. You've only really made one signing, which I think was an open goal for any manager that comes in. The January signings that Danny Rohl made were all a good profile of player, and I think good managers can get the most out of them. There's certainly upsides in all of them, Romans to Nadiri to Chirwani. I think from as clean a break as you can get, it's good for Rohl if he wants to go back to close to home and in a place he's familiar with. And for an incoming manager, you've got a lot of tools to work with for whatever you see this team being for the upcoming season. So interesting times ahead. Just need to wait to see who is the next man in charge if the manager goes.
I just want to jump in. Quite a few people are saying that there's not that many fresh names. And I think in the timing of this happening, the club will be looking for people that they know through whatever venture they've had before or somebody that they've interviewed before, because it needs to happen so quickly. They don't want to have the time to try to understand somebody's tactical profile, etc. They need somebody to come in the door and hit the ground running. And that's why it's probably 3 names. Another name was Rob Edwards, and let's not discuss that. And that's coming from a person that thought that he's quite a good manager, but the fiasco at leaving Middlesbrough for a pool said it was a sinking ship. And to be fair, that got backfired on him, because he was pretty much promised this season the championship, and that was a bit of get it right up you for him. And they might lose the Kieran Trippier deal because of it, so that's an interesting one. But I think that's why it's the continuous names that we're kind of seeing. It's people that the club have interviewed in the past or have had some knowledge with somebody that they've worked with, because they need it to be a quick result and a quick decision and changeover. So that's why we probably won't see too many different names from the usual this time around.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the time for taking risks, I think, is done now. You have to go with as close to a sure thing as you can. as much as possible. It's football. It's always a risk. There's no guarantees in this, but I think that's why you want to minimize that risk as much as possible. So listen, folks, we obviously don't have a great deal to discuss apart from the one big news story. So we are going to call it there. But as I said earlier, stay tuned, stay subscribed. As soon as we hear anything, we will let you know. We'll obviously be keeping an eye on this. And hell, I want to let you guys go so you can watch, Canada start to dominate in the World Cup. Start of a glorious run all the way to the final, I'm sure. So, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in, whether you're watching live or listening on the repeat, or indeed watching on the repeat as well, because that's entirely possible as well. Remember, you can sign up for a membership, and you get ad-free versions of the shows. I think as little as 99p a month. So, geez, easy deal. And you get to use stickers in the chat as well, which I haven't plugged for a while, but I always like to bring up the stickers because the stickers are great. So thank you all so much for your watching, for your listening, for your support. Special thanks to Colin Kerr, who went wild with 15 gifted subs. So thank you so much, my friend. Truly appreciate that. Thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Arfield Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Candide and RYDC, as well as our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. And last but certainly not least, my thanks to my two lovely co-hosts. Andrew, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you as ever.
I watched the ex-Rangers defender derby. It's Derek Cornelius versus Nico Katic. It's going to be a good one. An absolute field day for any somewhat athletic forwards, but yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
No, can't wait. That will be kicking off in 25 minutes, so get tuned in, folks. Calvin, thank you as ever, my friend. Truly appreciate you. Thanks again.
Thanks very much, guys. And once again, Colin, top guy, 15 gifts. That's up there with one of the most we've seen a Friday night pod for sure. So enjoy your weekend, guys, and let's get a lot of football back. Thank God, because I was missing watching games.
100%. Thank you both as always. Thanks everyone in the audience. And yeah, folks, stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date until we talk to you again. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Arfield Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.